Hey all. Hello, hello. I started a whole minute early today. Hello, welcome. Terrier time. So excited. Me too, Jess. I am so excited for this. It is going to be... We have a lot to talk about. It's just all I have to say here. We have one or two things that I would like to talk about today. And then maybe a couple more things that we'll talk about later, because there's a little bit too much. Hello, welcome. It is Terrier Day. We are talking Terrier this whole book club. We decided that we're going to start taking it a little slower, because these books get hefty, and there's a lot for us to talk about and dive in and read. So I'm going to have a minute or two to let everybody join. Thank you for sharing our Discord server. We have a Discord server that we talk about the books while we're reading them, as well as we have fan fiction page, fan art, we have references. There's just general chats going on. We're sharing recipes at the moment because there was a lot of food in this book. Hello, hi, welcome. Beka, or Baka. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I listened to the audiobook a little bit before this, and is my Midwest tongue just mispronouncing Beka? Ugh. That's another one. Thank you, Beka. Good morning. Hello, Terrier. I'm so excited. Hello, all. Oh, fantastic. The third book is your favorite of the series. I think it might be mine too, but this reread, I have a whole new appreciation for the series. Thank you to every single person who encouraged me throughout this, because I did not like these books when I first read them, or the second time, or even the third time, but this time around, wow, totally different experience. You started listening today. Fantastic. Oh, you're so excited. Me too. Reese, you just finished the audiobooks. It's definitely Beka, yes. When they say Rebecca and then Beka, yes. But there was the Rebecca. Had me a little afraid for a moment. Join the lives first to get it. Yes! I'm so glad, Amanda, that you got the video. You get the recap part 3. This took so much longer to read through than it has any other time. And I know that's only because this situation, but I was really excited to share it with everybody. I am so appreciative that you all pushed me and shared what you liked about it, because when I hear what other people really like about it, that helps me pick out those portions and really enjoy them all the more. There's so many comments. I love this. Thank you all. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Okay, you're listening to the other 2 books. Yes. After listening to what I did of this book, the narrator's phenomenal. Dare I say, best narrator we've had so far throughout all of Circle of Magic. And I've listened to a bunch of the other Tortall books, and this was my favorite audio narration so far. It was incredible. Shocked, how could I not love Beka? A lot of it, so I did not necessarily love Beka because the diary style, the first person, the language was difficult for me at the very beginning. The first time I read it, I was very turned off by the distinct language that was used. I have a list of words that don't come up in the glossary at all. And there were a couple of words I'm like, oh, that's just an old English word that's used, or that's an old Shakespearean insult or something. Not necessarily Shakespearean, but like that's an older insult, or I can totally get it in the context clues. But the fact that cove is not in the glossary but mott is, that was a huge one. Cove does end up being in Bloodhound and Mastiff, but I remember that being a huge barrier the first time I read it. And the other part about it is that usually when I read Beka's books, I'm doing a full Tortall reread in publication order. Since we're doing it in chronological order, it is setting me up in a totally different way. Because going from like Alana's writing style to this, very different. So that's a lot of why I didn't like Beka, but I'm Singing a different tune. Definitely singing a different tune. You've listened to the audiobooks so many times. All-time favorite. They're so good. So good. You had to slow your roll with blitzing through the books. Only a chapter a night. Not a whole book. That's how I did read these earlier. That was the last time I read through these. I was like, yeah, I think I finished each one, just one a day. They're delightful, but different. This was a slow, deep read. Can you tell I yearned for graduate school? So, and thank you for all of the hearts and likes and gifts and things, everyone. I'm enjoying hanging out and talking to everyone. We are happy you are here, Reese. You just reread that you just read that last week? Fantastic. You're right on track then. Is there a page at all not annotated? Yes. There are a couple of pages that aren't annotated. If you are all interested, I'd be more than happy to share with you my annotation style, because like I have it ready to go. I think this is really going to help me make more content about Beka. A lot of the content that I've made so far has just been an initial remembrance through the reread, but being able to dive in and think about themes that I know I want to talk about, I know are large themes, and so much of this relates to our world. So being able to use a totally different framework and lens while looking through these has made me really excited. We miss you, Reese. I'm so sorry to hear that. Please, in the Discord, let us know whatever you need. And we're thankful to have you here. And as someone, like, welcome to the Dead Dads Club. It sucks. My heart is with you. Yes, our hearts are absolutely with you. That sucks. Yeah, reach out to me we'll talk on Discord. Whenever, I'm here for you. Wait until Immortals forecast audio. I did like the full cast audio of that, but there's something good for it. I really like the narrator in this. You would love to name a future daughter Rebecca and pronounce it like the otter. Rebecca, yes. But Midwest schools, yeah. As someone who came from a Midwest school system, it would be Rebecca. Got those tight A's. You love how much you get of her mindset versus the other series. I completely agree with that. I love how much we get from her mindset, and I really love that she is a character in which we need it. I think we really need to see and hear from her the way she thinks and feels, because I don't think it comes across otherwise. I also think there's a component about, a question around like how is she as a narrator? Who is she as a narrator? Well, she is a very honest and truthful narrator, but there's still bias, right? Like she still has her internal bias. She still, as much as she tries to write things as honestly as she can, it still is skewed in certain ways. And I think there are a couple of different ways that shows up, but I'm curious to hear what other people think on that too. I still need to catch up with all of these comments. I am so excited about all of them. And thank you all. Completely agree. We definitely got... Loving this. Loving all of the comments. Thank you all. Definitely got more this time. You love the intro with George and his mother. Me too. The intros are really... the world building that occurs in the intro. You are connecting it with the larger series. We have a timeline. We see our characters that some have read in the past as children. There's so much foreshadowing this. There were a couple of tabs or a couple of themes and ideas that I used so much and ran out of tabs for and had to change. And one of them was foreshadowing. Tamora Pierce does such an incredible job of foreshadowing throughout this. Let's see. Also, reading Beka with an analytical mind is the best. It pulls you in more. It is really interesting. I loved the way that Beka's analytical mind and her identity and her emotions all intersected, because there were so many moments where you saw that. You haven't started a book yet before the morning of book club. I know you are such a speed reader, speed listener. It's a skill. It's an art. Do you have enough tabs in that book? I am making so much fun of myself for the tabs, and every time I would put one in, I'm like, what's one more? What's one more? And making fun of myself through all of it. But then I have moments where I really like looking at the intersections of things. So how do things come together? How do we see these different pieces of Beka and her world show up? And so there are so many moments where I think the one, I mentioned it in one of my videos, but the idea that her identity and policing and justice are so intertwined. Or the one that I found really interesting was the number of times that I had a policing and justice tab right next to a food tab. Like, what does that mean? How do we pick those out? What does that mean for the world building or Beka? It's fascinating. I think this is of its era, but there are so many ideas that Tamora Pierce is grappling with right now that I know we see play out. They're over here. I know we see play out in the other books too, but just set up Beka in such a way that we have so much foreshadowing, so much identity building. She has so much identity construction, and then I know there's a lot of deconstruction that happens in some of the other books too. So it's fascinating. I love all the tabs. But also, please roast me for these tabs. This is excessive. This is issues. This just says I yearn to be in graduate school and wish I were there right now. You love rereading the books in chronological order. You love rereading the books in chronological order. The world building is so good. I completely agree with you on that front right now. The world building here, I think, will set us up in such an awesome way when we dive into the rest of the books, because the world building is so good. It's so good in this book. And I know it was something that a lot of people talked about as one of their favorite pieces of this book. And it's incredible. From the language to just the small pieces, there were a couple of moments that I thought, oh, Tammy did not have to put that in. Like when they're in court and Beka sits down and sees the carvings from dogs before her. She didn't have to put that in. It was just a moment, but it makes the world feel lived in. Gorgeous. Find it interesting how fast the events happen. The whole book takes place over only 2 months. That's a really important point, Amanda, because I forget that too. I started a timeline at one point and then decided that felt excessive. So I abandoned the timeline idea. But the fact that this happens only over a course of 2 months is wild. I mean, the first over third of it is just 1 week. And I think that's also reflective, though, of keeping a journal. You're really into it at the start. Things fall off. Then you don't need to keep it as often. Beka got sick. There were things she didn't feel like she needed to report or say because she didn't feel useful. Just that combination of her identity and justice and policing. Like, what do I have to offer this world? Who am I as a dog? Is just, so connected. And thank you for sharing the book club for our Discord. Yes, please join our Discord if you are just joining our book club now for Terrier. First of all, welcome all. Tortall. I'm so excited for this. We have a lot of stuff planned. We have the Discord. Make sure you're following me. Also, make sure you're following Tamora Pierce on other platforms as well. There's a great Facebook group. There's another Discord server. And Tammy has a Patreon. So please, if you can, go support her on there too. One thing you wish is that Beka spoke about the peaches. I agree with you. I have notes on the peaches. It was interesting, but I think it comes at this intersection of gender, sexuality, and food. Beka talks about a lot of things as food. If she's not talking about it in terms of like a dog and using the lens of a dog, she's talking about it in food. So it didn't feel too out of her world after the first couple of pages. At the beginning, she's explaining herself, and I'm like, you don't need to talk about it that way. But it does when the world building picks in. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I have so many comments to catch up on. I appreciate you all so much. Okay. Beka clocks Noel on day 2. She does! Y'all, the foreshadowing in all of this. And then it all just beautifully comes together. Nice bow. Are you at your new place? I'm still house sitting / pet sitting / it is my new place, and I haven't dealt with the spiders yet, and so we are making do with what we have. As one does. I'll get there. As a Minnesotan, can confirm. I'm catching up on all of these. I appreciate you all so much. North Dakotan, love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have like 50 comments I need to catch up on. You are great. Okay. I'm getting there. I appreciate you all. Thank you for the hearts and things. You're a little late, but welcome. Your sister is here, so you're reviewing with her. Oh, that's so fun. This is such a fun thing to share. I share these with my cousin. We're having a little, there we go, technical difficulties. I share these with my cousin. Growing up, we absolutely loved these, and she loves them now too. Her little court day at the top of the page was so cute. With the little exclamation point, she was so excited about it, and then it just did not work out the way she wanted it to. Honestly, it's one of my favorite scenes. It's her during the court day. It's such a tricky one. She is so excited for what really is a personal hell for her. Absolutely. The ancestors of people we see in Lioness and Immortal is very fun. Yes. I loved all of that foreshadowing and being able to connect them, and there's so many great things happening. Or just the idea of like Naxon's eatery where they go for like the fancy dinners and things. The more you reread Beka's books, the more foreshadowing you find. Absolutely. You haven't done a reread in about 3 years after doing a yearly listen for the past 6 years or so. It was different. Yes. I think our world has changed so dramatically in the past 6 years that a reread, reading this before 2020 and then reading this now, 2 very different worlds that we're existing in that I think really directly impact this story. You think as an introverted, I can't speak today. I think as introverted and introspective she is, a third person or limited third person would make us misunderstand Beka. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. There were so many, I have a specific tab for the diary style. And so there were like the moments that I thought really stood out of, ooh, we really would not have this understanding of this situation of Beka, of anything, if it weren't for this particular style of work. And there were a lot of moments here that just the way it was written made the story so different. So I completely agree. Your favorite foreshadowing was when Goodwin straight up asking Noel who the shadow snake is, and her Yes. Yes! And her puttering around and dodging them. You wish you knew her mind. Beka misinterpreted that moment to her being scared. Yes. There were so many moments with Mistress Noel where it was foreshadowed. Her role in all of it. And I think it comes back to like Beka's honest account. She is saying how she interpreted things through her genuine bias. That she's trying to account for, but at the same time, it's so ingrained in her identity that it takes until right at the end for her to put it all together. You can't annotate to save your life. Your brain won't slow down at all. It took me years to learn how to annotate, and then for this, and then it's different every book. When I annotate Bloodhound, it'll be a similar system, but the tabs will be different for some of them. I think there are a lot of them that I will keep overall, but I love forcing myself to my brain to slow down with the annotation tabs. Usually this would take me, I don't know, I would read this within a day, easily. But this took me 4 days, but not full days. It was a lot. It was a lot. Hello, welcome. You love how food is such a tie to her past, present, and future. Yes, Jess. Food is so important to Beka throughout all of this. And I think about diaries I kept, and then I think about diaries I've read, and food is always in there. It's always, what did you have to eat today? How did you sustain yourself? But I also found that there were so many interesting intersections of food and other things. The major one for me was justice and policing. There were so many times where food was used as a tool, as a lever for justice and policing that we don't... I think it would have gone over my head if I didn't have the annotations with it. But there were just so many times that I would put those two tabs together and realize, like, oh, meeting people's basic needs is a very important thing. Beka is such a unique character. Oh, absolutely. Oh no, I'm having intermittent audio issues. Hopefully, please let me know if they work out. Hello, Sandvers. Welcome, welcome. You can't annotate audiobooks. That's why you started spoilers. The spoilers discussion tab. Good. Oh no, it's me. My Wi-Fi says it's fine. Maybe it's my cord connection. Clearly my technology is not great. I appreciate you all for sticking with me through it. We get an intermittent buzzing sound. Let me try a different cord. And thank you all for your patience. I have so many comments. Okay. All right, we're trying a different cord. Thank you all. It's better. Sometimes that's just how it goes. I appreciate you all for sticking with me, even with technical issues. You find super interesting is that Beka passes on her last name, not her husband's. I agree. Yes, with George. The Lower City is a character of its own, kind of like Gotham. Absolutely, Aubrey. Yes. So there's this, something that I think a lot about it is if we took these characters and popped them into another series or fandom, and Beka would work perfectly in Gotham. She would work perfectly in Gotham. The Lower City is a character of its own, and it is so linked to Beka's identity. In Mastiff, you see why. Yes. Yeah, I'm so excited for Mastiff. Thank you all for the roses and gifts and things. Oh, yes, in the Discord again. Live tweet your own journey. Yes, please live tweet your own journey. There's some really great discussions that are happening on the Discord server. Thank you. Thank you. You actually appreciated her talking about her peaches being well enough. Especially when you read it for the first time in middle school and didn't understand your own peaches. That is so fair. You just didn't need to know as much about the peaches. Oh, I so get it. All right, I'm catching up on comments. I appreciate you all. These are fantastic, fantastic comments. Okay. Scrolling all the way up, scrolling all the way up. Who else is from North Dakota? We have North Dakota people here. Indiana. We have a lot of Midwest people. Love the Midwest. I'm a Midwest gal myself. Or I was. I got the hell out of there as fast as I could. Nebraska. Wow. Yes, thank you, Brittany. You shared the apple raisin patty recipe on the Discord from a fan page. I am going to make at least the Twizzler, probably the apple raisin patties, and I'm thinking about something else. I've pulled a couple of recipes. We'll see. I'm really excited for it. They always sounded good. Yes. You're in Minneapolis and saw how things went down in 2020 and changed how man saw the world. Absolutely. I was in Washington, D.C. at the time, living 4 blocks away from the Capitol. And for so many reasons, our lives changed in 2020. She was misunderstood and people would not give her the benefit of the doubt. I think so. And I also think that's also her perception of things too. How many? I don't know what that's in context for. I apologize. Weirdly, you think that it would be more telling not showing in a different perspective because she is sage. And you bet yes. You bet Mistress Knoll thought she would be punished by the rogue for the first time she killed a child. I will need to go back and look for that. Because I think I might have missed that. So I appreciate you bringing that up. She's so biased, but also so observant. And going back, you can see that she misses her. Yes, she misses so much herself, and she also misinterprets things. I really love the way this works out for Beka, and thinking about her as a narrator and how she's navigating the world. Because she's learning how to take notes with this. She did learn how to do that, but she's practicing how to take notes with it. And so you can really see her progression throughout, and like what is important, what isn't. I've always been like, there's no way. People don't diary like this, but I guess she might. Your favorite was her recognizing the necklace, but not remembering where it was from. I was screaming at her. Because it was very real, very human of her to do that. His rapper's pretty trash, but maybe not 3 years ago when she started. Yes. Do you think she observed food more frequently because she was hungry as a Mott Piddle child? Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think food was such a huge part of that. Just the idea of sustenance. The other thing about food that I pulled out, not just the justice and policing bit, and there was a lot about class that came with food, but the idea of relationships. I have a food tab really close to a relationship tab. So I use that relationship tab when it was very clear Beka was in the moment building a relationship or a community. And the brunches, not just the brunches, but with the dogs as well. You see food at the center of community building throughout this whole book. You gasp at the part of yours, coach. It's like, it's right there. I agree. Me too. Me too. You have so much to say on food and Beka, but typing is too slow. I need voice notes. I need Discord because there's so much to say about food here. Because Briar also notices food more often as a street kid. I completely agree with you. I thought about Briar a lot in this. I think Briar would do very well in the lower city. And there are a lot of similarities with him and Beka. Definitely, yes. At least from your own experience, it's important to have hardships like hunger. Yes. Audio resolved, at least for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it was must have just been the cord. I need to work on that. The technology is my biggest kryptonite, and I have tried to work on it. I promise. Audio has been fine for a while, every once in a while. Okay, good. Hasn't happened in a while. I appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe it was just connecting. Now it's gone. Fantastic. Makes sense considering how many things she has listed on the map. I love these maps. I get very excited about these maps that we have. Yes. We get that one, and then we also get the lower city one. Love them. And I want to bring attention to, I know a lot of the audiobook listeners don't have this, but we also have a glossary, and we have like a full report on who everybody is, what kennels they're a part of, and we even get like the schedule for everybody's shifts. And so I did put this one in the Discord, but there's so much. I love an appendices. Yes, please. If you're writing a book, nerds like me love this. I was flipping back here all the time. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you. Catching up on these comments. Oh, I love these comments. Okay, catching up. Thank you for dropping the Discord again. The pigeons are the link between Beka, the city, and the Black God. They are such an important link and have, in the acknowledgements, Tamora Pierce mentions the pigeons that she would talk to in New York, and she has names for all of them, and mentions, like, of course they were real. Yes, welcome to Tammy Talk. You now need a Tortall DC crossover, Alana, and yes, I think I should have a whole nother live or video for this, because I have it all written out, like which character would do well in which series. Like Dane, I think, would do so well in Pokemon and Dinotopia. Just those kinds of things. Alaska, phenomenal, more Alaska. We also have a second book club in the Voice Chat After Live. Yes, I will be there for a little bit, but then I also need to go out into the real world this evening. I'm so excited. Wisconsin, perfect. Dane and Beast Boy. Love it. You love that Beka is so connected with death, and how she views it is so interesting. I completely agree with you, Harper. That is one of the main things that I have been pulling from Beka's story. It's one of my main tabs throughout here, is her relationship with death and the death and mourning rituals that occur, because death is such a part not only of her life, lower city life, of the dog's life. It's such a prevalent theme throughout all of her books, to the point where in Mastiff in particular, we get some really, really incredible depictions of death in Mastiff. And I know that's weird to say, but it's really beautiful in Mastiff. And so one of the things that I'm looking for throughout this whole reread is Beka's connection with death, and also death in Tortall as a whole, how it's dealt with, how we grieve, how we mourn. Yes, I agree with you. This is one of the biggest connections for me through these books, and the thing that I am looking at. So maybe one of the closest ways I'm looking at. Kentucky, perfect. Apple Raisin Patties has cinnamon on top. You keep food tabs for the whole Tortall series. That's fantastic. I should keep food tabs for all of the Tortall series. I'm definitely doing it through Beka's, just because she has so much. There's so much food, and I think food serves such an important role. Like, there's a reason for the food throughout. It killed you how long it took her to connect the necklace. I completely agree. I was just like screaming it. But then at that point in time, I think Tamora Pierce did a really good job of showing us how exhausted Beka was. Like, Beka told us how exhausted she was, but Tamora Pierce also showed us how exhausted she was by that point in time. And so the fact that it was just kind of ringing bells makes total sense for me. But I was absolutely like, oh, Beka. Can't be liked and have friends. She was so shunned by other girls at the provost house. Yes. I think that Beka's friendship and the relationship buildings is one of the most unique parts about this. She does such a good job of seeing other people for who they are, and not in the way of like, what can you do for me, but knowing who to go to for what was such an important piece of it that I don't think was emphasized, but Beka does a really good job of seeing where the social pieces fit. Your patties are pastry dough. You're actually learning calligraphy, and dip pens are hard to use. Love that. Love that you're learning calligraphy. That's so cool. So cool. She found her people. She did. And I love that her people are a mixture of dogs and the new rogue. I think that Beka is a both and. I know I've said this before. I will say this a million bajillion more times. But Tamora Pierce does the best job of writing characters that are both and. That include the best and worst, that have these dichotomies that we have in our own lives that are very difficult to write authentically in characters. But every single one of them, or she does such a good job of making complex characters. She's also green, so she maybe noticed something's off but didn't trust herself to say. And we see that over and over and over again, and she is luckily paired with dogs that learn her and encourage her to speak. Can people share their categories for annotating? I'm thinking about trying it with the next book. Yes, Tabitha. I'm sure. Okay, so I have so many comments I need to catch up on, so I'm sure people are putting those in right now, but I'm using this as an excuse to show off mine. If people are interested, I will happily do a video on this mess and how I'm going to change things for next time, because I will change things for next time, and one of them being just like the volume of tabs that I'm getting, because as you can see, I had to replace the tabs a couple of times, because they're just a lot of things. So I had justice and policing, food and daily life, relationship, class was a huge one, gender and sexuality, magic, so the different forms of magic that came up, whether it be pounce, whether it be charms, Beka using her own, death ended up being a huge one, not just death, but like death and mourning. The diary piece, and so this actually should be over on this side because it's slightly different. These are themes, this is like function. And so diary, so when the diary piece of it made a huge difference. Identity, that one was huge. So whenever Beka kind of declared her own identity, or you saw someone declaring it for her, or there were moments where that felt really impactful for her identity creation. And then gods/immortals. So whenever gods or immortals were mentioned, because that's something I'm very interested in Tortall as a whole. It's something I'm going to keep throughout. Most of these I will probably keep throughout most of the series. And then over here, these are more like overarching big form function things, and so things like foreshadowing. I had foreshadowing within Beka's own series, and then I have connections to Circle of Magic, connections to Tortall. I did not use the connections to Circle of Magic as much as I thought I would. That's something that we've talked about a lot in the Discord, is the idea that, or at least, yeah, just I have this thought that Tamora Pierce kind of used Circle of Magic as a playground testing field for ideas that we then saw later on show up more strongly in Tortall. And there were definitely a couple of points where I'm like, ooh, that kind of connects. But overall, I did not use that tab as much as I thought I would. The one that I used a lot more than I thought I would was the connections to Tortall. That one, the foreshadowing and the connections to Tortall, like the rest of the books in the series, not just hers, I use that way more than I was expecting. And I think it's because of the order that we're reading the books in. So that one was awesome. I have a tab for I love this. Absolutely love this. Then tab for things I want to bring up in book club, which was usually accompanied by my questions tab. And then I had a WTF tab that I didn't use as often as I thought I would. But those were the main ones. Okay, I'm catching up on these comments. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for asking that question. Because I really could talk about this forever. I love organizing. Sometimes. Yes, the amount she talks about memory exercises, you love that she forgets things like that. Trying to join the Discord but not having any luck. Oh no, I will need to relink the link. I learned very recently that the link expires, and so I have to refresh the link in my bio. I can do that after this. I really appreciate you trying to join, Kelsey, though. We'll look for you there. Especially later, as a senior dog says, like, puppies don't yap lest they get smacked. There are so many, like, power differentials. The power differential between the dogs and puppies was a huge piece, and it was key that Beka was paired with her dogs. And the fact that she earned their respect over time made such a huge difference. I might have a, yeah, I think Misfit might have a video that lists her categories. Not yet, but I may try. Thank you for sharing the link again. You love the maps so much. Me too. I love the maps so much. I love that Beka loves maps. And I love that maps were such a key part in the overall storyline. Like, she needed the maps. Yes, we love it when the algorithm works. Welcome, welcome. I talk a lot about Tamora Pierce. If you enjoy Tamora Pierce, follow along, join the Discord. I decided I was so done with not seeing her books on the timeline. So I am the change I wanted to see in the world. Oh no, okay. I appreciate you all catching up on these. Thank you for all the likes and gifts and things. TikTok, every time we finish with one of the lives, I get a notification that I've done better than like 100% of accounts my size with lives like these, because people are so engaged and doing so many comments and things. And so they've been doing a thing where they scale rewards. I don't know. It's great. Y'all are phenomenal. I just love that we get to talk about Tamora Pierce. Very rigid hierarchy. If she had different dogs, she may have washed out. I don't know if I agree with that. I see where you're coming from on that, but I don't know if I agree with that, only because of how entrenched justice and policing is with her identity and coming from the Lord Provost's house. And I think that comes back around to this idea of Beka on the spectrum and such a fierce sense of justice. And I think Beka would have found a way to make it work within that hierarchy. I absolutely see where you're coming from, Aubrey, with that. But I also think that Beka's sense of justice and the only route that she knows to follow that sense of justice is through the provost, the dogs. I think that's just the only way she really knows at this point. Can't wait for those. At this point, this is the only route she knows to exercise that sense of justice. And I really relate to that. I am somebody who went through routes of very rigid hierarchy in order to try to make good, like try to do good in the world. And I don't think I would do those now. I had to experience them. And I did wash out. So I respect Beka, and I think that specifically the justice and policing bit of it, she really thinks is the path to being correct. You love the language changes. Me too, to an extent. When I first read them, I did not. But now, I love it. And it's a key point that I want to continue coming back to, because it's not just the language. It is the language changes, but it's how that language changes. And so it is Laddiebuck. And having Laddiebuck show up here in this book, and then Laddiebuck also show up when George calls Alana that. And then it's also when Alana calls George that. It's just, I love seeing the direct line of these words. And so now that we're reading these first, I can't wait to see how it shows up even more. There's the whole glossary I'm going to be looking for. Yes, welcome to book club. It should be linked in the bio. We cannot forget the spinners. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot forget the spinners. I loved that piece of natural magic. And that's why when we talk about the differences between Circle of Magic and Tortall and the magic that happens there, when I bring up that this feels like ambient magic, I'm still trying to piece together my thoughts about the Circle of Magic versus Tortall magic. It's something I would love to do a YouTube video and videos on here about, but the idea of like magic tapping into the natural magic of what you have, but of what's already there versus an internal magic. And so Beka has the internal magic. I think that's what that is when she talks to the pigeons. But I think the spinners are a natural magic that she steps into and pulls out of the nature itself. The same way that we see with ambient magic. That the magic lives within that piece rather than something you conjure within yourself. It's a thought I'm trying on. I'm tailoring before I present it to the world. But that's what I pulled with spinners and why I'm so fascinated by them. So I appreciate you bringing that up. You never thought of that. Interesting. Wish we had more of Granny Fern. Me too. Granny Fern was a really interesting character. And just the whole lower city has these great characters that I do miss a lot in Bloodhound. I love Bloodhound. But I remember the last time I read it really being like, hey, wait a minute. What do you mean we don't get Granny Fern? We don't get Tansy. We don't get all of these awesome characters that we've really built. You haven't made any, you're just noting the description. You tried there. Oh, no. All right. I will definitely, Kelsey, I'll definitely I'll redo my bio. I appreciate, thank you for bringing that to my attention. In Bloodhound, she struggles with her lazy partner. It's so hard when you care so much. Yes. Yes, Aubrey. Yes, it's so hard when you care so much. I can't wait for Bloodhound. That's the next one that we're going to be reading. But we're going to have a month. We're not going to sprint. We're not sprinting. We're going to talk about this the first week of next month. Because we have so much to talk about otherwise. So take your time with Bloodhound, but we will keep having book club. Book club will be happening every Wednesday. We're just talking about different themes. So next week it's justice and policing. And I promise I'll have a calendar out. It does exist. It's on the Discord, but I need to make a more finalized one. I got swept away with this, so my deepest apologies. But come every Wednesday, because we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be doing a thing. But no, you don't have to sprint through the next book. So if you really want to take your time and do some annotation, you have a whole month to get to Bloodhound. Yeah, show's back up in Bloodhound. Granny Fern is your absolute favorite. You want a Granny Fern. I know. So many tabs. I yearn for graduate school. I do. I had a really great idea about where all of this could go. I would eventually love to build, I know there have been a couple of out and a couple of people have talked about this, but I would love to build a curriculum around these books. Not necessarily, I wouldn't call it a curriculum, but like a learning. Have this be a foundation for some learning. Sad that Gran seems to be going slightly more gentle mother in the later books. I can't wait to talk about religion and the gentle mother and how that impacts everything and then how that impacts everything. So excited for that. Her observation about Rasta having the rogue will be better for the city. Yes, they will be harder to catch, but regular people will have someone to go to. So Beka is a dog. Like, at the end of this, when I thought about her identity and the pieces that really are the foundational pillars for her identity, justice and policing is a huge one. It's massive. But the one, thank you. But the massive one that I think is even more than justice and policing is the lower city. When push comes to shove, she chooses the lower city. She chooses the people around her. There's such class solidarity. I know that I mentioned this in a video when I talked about her class solidarity, and then she literally turned around and asked for a bribe. She does choose the lower city over and over and over again. And so I'm excited to see how that plays out now that I'm really looking for it in the other books. But such a key part of her identity is that she relates and is a lower city Mott. You have yet to find a Tamora Pierce book you don't love. Yes, all of them are amazing. I completely agree with you. I love these books, and so when I say that these are my least favorite of the Tamora Pierce books, that's only because I love them all. I love them all, including this, and I am getting a totally different experience, and I'm truly, truly loving these books with the reread. And so when I say that these are my least favorite, it's not that I don't love them. All right, I can do a video on my tabs in my system. All right. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement, everyone, because I just kind of like throw things I think are fun and interesting out there. If I don't want to watch it more than once, I'm not going to put it out. And so I love the encouragement. Fabulous. All right, yes. Thank you, Brittany. You actually like the gradual decline because it shows how society changes like that. I think that Tamora Pierce does such a good job with that. I'm excited to look for it. Fish puppy and slime puppy besties, yes. The nicknames, language. Can we just take, I know I have so many comments, but can we just take a minute to talk about the language and how it creates in crowds and out crowds? It reinforces so many ideas, thoughts, who is in the dogs, who's out, who knows who's doing what throughout all of this. Fascinating. Like, yes, it is world building, but it's also culture building. You're just wondering about the amount of police being named after animals. I think that's really interesting too, and it is one of the questions that I would ask Tamora Pierce. I would love to interview her one day. And I may or may not have a whole page of questions I would ask. But one of the questions is around the naming conventions and why. Because I think we talk about cops in terms of animals sometimes. Like, I will very freely admit that I have been a part of very radical spaces. And we do talk about cops in terms of animals, but to have the cops themselves talk about themselves in terms of animals, I think it does a couple of things. One, it creates this in versus out culture. And I also think that it provides this structure. There's a lot of very specific language that you can use with the idea of dogs. And so we see this a little bit in Circle of Magic. She kind of toys with the idea a little bit, but then we really see it come full force with these books. And so it's something that I'm excited to dig more into because it unfolds across the other two books, but I love that you brought them up. Love that you brought it up. Yes, a group were called the Ferrets were mentioned as well. Yes! The naming convention, I'm curious. I appreciate it. Give us a couple of your what the moments. All right, let's see. Let me find some of the earlier ones. I didn't have as many WTF moments. Let's see. That's the problem. Oh, here we go. Here's a WTF moment. Oh, so I have it when... So my WTF moment also comes with a huge moment of foreshadowing, and that is when, this first one is around when Mistress Null said that Tansy was a Gexir. Wasn't she, Beka, but pretty as a flower even then. So this is the moment where Mistress Null first lies. This is what this WTF is what Beka's revelation is based off of later. And so when I was in that moment, I was like, hey now, you and I both know that that's not right. WTF, my friend. But I also did not remember that happened when I was doing the reread. And so it was just one of those like baffling moments. Here's another one. Her husband sold her to pay a debt to Crookshanks. That also made me go, WTF. What do you mean? We're selling people. I don't like that. It was very early on in the book. So those are just a couple. Okay. So many new comments. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for your patience. I'm catching up. Those are the Spy Masters agents. Yes. You love the, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It'll show me all at once. So I have to scroll up. Yes, join the Discord. Love Tamora Pierce so much. Welcome, Butch Busher. We are so excited that you're here. We have a lot of enthusiasm on this corner of the world for Tamora Pierce. You probably should have said law enforcement instead of police. I think it's a little bit, we're doing a both and. That would probably be more like CIA, FBI. I think there's a huge overlap with this, and we'll definitely see overlap with that idea in these books. I think Beka's in particular. You could see her going vigilante if her dogs had been too dismissive, cruel, and dumb. I completely agree with that. And I think she does go vigilante. One of the pieces that I picked up from this that I want to discuss next week is the idea of accountability. Because there are several times where Beka goes against what she's been trained to do, what she's allowed to do. She admits it freely, even in court, and there are zero repercussions, not even a smack on the wrist. Nothing. She gets like a little like, don't do that again at the very, very end, but there's no actual accountability for her breaking the own code. In this book. You were trying to type faster, probably. I do that all the time. I can't. The typing is so quickly. Yes, I'm so glad you joined the Discord. It must be a family thing, the Laddybug. I think so too. And I think that's the interesting part. We'll see it passed down. You love Pounds bringing poor Aniki and Aniki to their own kittens. That scene is adorable. I love that scene. I love that Pounce reaches his like breaking point and is like, do not touch me. Here, I will bring you your own little creatures. Wild magic has varied forms. I think that's a really good way to put it. You're right. I need to dig into it more, and that would be under the umbrella, but I'm seeing connections. You can't get your phone to watch this live and do the Discord thing at the same time. That's all right. We'll be on the Discord after this. Her father spoke with spinners. It's a whole line. I would have loved to have seen something that connects a little bit more directly with Allie. Just a flicker here or there. But it makes me think of Triss. The spinners make me think of Triss more than anything. Bloodhound, she's in a different city. Yeah, she's in Port Can. And thank you for roses. Terrier is your first Tammy book and you fell in love. That would have been so interesting to have this as a first book. I am having a totally different experience now that I'm reading this first in our reread. Thank you so much for sharing the Discord again. Her father, his sister, and her father's uncle. You just look it up. Thank you, Amanda. Much appreciated. Hello. That's so interesting. Started with Alana in 1995, so that's basically all there was. Yep, Alana was my first. And it all went fantastically from there. You're curious when Beka's line lost the spinner and pigeons type of magic. Me too. Or how it morphed. I think I wonder about the different gods. It feels like it's such a god-touched line. All the way down. For me, the idea of the pigeons. I think a lot about the pigeons. There are a couple of questions that I have when it comes to pigeons, and are they still carrying souls in all of these other books? Like, I think about the sweating sickness and how when that swept through Chorus in Alana's time. I think about the pigeon. I have a lot of thoughts about the pigeons, and wish they would have shown up in other spaces, but I understand that there are benefits and drawbacks to writing your prequel after the rest of the series. You love how in Terrier she's addressed death with such respect, and not just because she talks to ghosts. Exactly. I cannot wait for that in Mastiff. It's one of my favorite scenes that Tamora Pierce has ever written, and it is the reason why I reread this book over and over. Not over and over, but enough. The gentle mother stuff makes you furious. Me too. I will be adding a religion tab. Right now, I kind of have it lumped in under the gods and immortals tab for this book, but I think going forward it will be separated out into a religion tab of some sort. I don't know. Or I might have to do immortals and then like gods and religions lumped into one, because I really am fascinated to see how it all transforms, because right now it's not the threefold goddess. We have a crone, the maiden, all of that and the mother are different. So I really can't wait to see how it all unfolds. And thank you for the gifts. We'll see you in the second half. We're so glad that you were here. So glad that you were here. I know usually we ended around an hour and a half in. Thank you, Aubrey. I'm so glad y'all are here. Yes, when she took the bride and then arrested him anyway. There are so many moments I'm like, Beka. But we have her thoughts that like talk us through it. You have to take some bribes. Some people don't trust dogs who don't get bought. I think it's such a both and with the Undercity, we're the lower city, and the dogs are such a balance. The line that we walked. Yes, please tell the kitty hello. They start to think they're on someone else's payroll. Yes, yes. Uh-huh. So true. I almost read the oink. The pigs for sure. Also, like, get that animal off that horse is truly one of my favorite chants at a protest. I wonder if it happens when she marries and her husband has regular magic. I think it also happens over just the like 200 years or however long it is, a couple hundred years between these books and the other books. I would love to see a full family tree. Well, cops use dogs to help them track stuff and people. Yes, absolutely. And we'll get that. Next book. Terriers, yes, on Circle of Magic. If nature magic is a recessive gene and regular magic is dominant. I like that. You think Magic Step also has the hawks? Yes. Yes. I needed to go through. I pulled some of them, as you can see. Hi, y'all. I got too excited. About that. Back at it. All right. If you are on the Discord, you saw the setup. Okay, we're back. Let's see if this works. My tabbing has changed. So for a couple of the books I was just pulling out particular pieces. These are color-coded, and so it mostly is for each person. And so each of the main people in the series has their own tab, and there was something huge going on with them. That was the color that I would use. And then I think it was orange is just like a catch-all for other people. So the tabbing system has changed. Yes. Regular magic taking over. Curious. Woo. Because Dane's baby shapeshifters in utero. That's a really good point to bring up. Because it does. I feel so bad for Dane and her pregnancy and her baby. That'll be an interesting thing to talk about when we get there. you like Mock Cove and Gixie, and then in language plays, there are certain ones that I would absolutely love to use more of. There are a lot of insults in this that I really enjoyed. To be fair, Dane's half-god genes would be more powerful in that instance. That makes sense. Forgot she was a demigod. The negative view that Beka has on slavery is such a huge amount of foreshadowing. Yes, it is. And she's called out for it a couple of times throughout, at least this book, and I know later on. But in this book in particular, she is called out on it a couple of times. They say, like, oh, and Beka doesn't like slavery. Like, it's weird. Pounce is like, here's your sacrifice, now don't bother me with over affection. Yes! Your first awesome! Welcome! Beka was your first two. Awesome. Oh, you were talking about Beka needing to eat. I was like, okay, have fun. It's about 170 years between Beka's birth and George's. Thank you. And even then, like, George's birthday, it is listed in here, but then if you do the math later on, Tamora Pierce has addressed that there's, like, some inconsistencies. Because when they talk about it later, and if you line it up with Alana's birth, it doesn't quite make sense the way they're talked about. Timber, yeah. I'm so glad everybody enjoyed the trip. Thank you, thank you. You did not jinx me with all the talk about the Discord. It was a great fall. I really, if you're gonna fall hard. Slime puppy, right? The insult game is so strong. I have not had any of my books signed by Tamora Pierce. I have never been able to make it to a con. I started this account earlier this year because I was reading so many books and completely just retreating into myself that I needed a place to put my thoughts and my love for the books and just to pull myself out of the rut I was reading myself into. And so I was enjoying doing videos, and then I noticed that all of my Tamora Pierce videos were doing really well, and I love talking about Tamora Pierce more than anything else, and so I decided to start doing a ton more videos about it, and then realized I hadn't really read the Circle of Magic series all the way through, and so was encouraged to start a book club and for the reread, and so it started with a handful of people, and now we've really grown. And so we've gone through all of the Circle of Magic books, and now we're jumping into the Tortall books. We are doing a chronological read-through, starting with Terrier, which you're joining for today. And so the next book we're going to be reading in our read-through will be Bloodhound, but we were not going to talk about it until November. We will have book club every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time. This is the most stable thing in my life, so it will be happening every week. And you have a couple of weeks until we're going to be talking about Bloodhound explicitly, but we do talk about themes for all of, within that theme, we talk about all of Tamora Pierce's books. And so next week, we are going to be talking about justice and policing. And we're going to talk about it throughout all of Tamora Pierce's books, including Circle of Magic, Fair Game, but just to have something for us to all rally around, the idea for us to rally around. And so next week is Justice and Policing, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and you'll have about a month to read Bloodhound. Okay, I'm going to catch up on these comments. You all are amazing. Your first was Alana, mine too. Yours was Dane. You saw Beka. Yes! Drop on in. She's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yes, please join the Discord. We have such a great time over there. These are books you've read so much, you start using the lingo and look crazy in real life. I would love to have people just drop this in conversation. I feel like it would be, again, like the idea that language creates culture and language creates an in-crowd and out-crowd. This does that. And so to have somebody in real life be like, oh, look at that Mott. I would clock them so hard. Beka teasing Russell from being too old for her made you think of when she still stinging from Dane Numer. Yes. But even then, like, he kisses her and he flirts with her mercilessly. I think they have a really they end up having a really good, healthy relationship. But it's an interesting back and forth that they have. No, you lost your signed books because of an evil ex-husband. Boo. I'm so sorry. That's such a blow. We've been building amazing community and we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. The one time she was in your city, you were in another country. No. Your parents went for you and got a signed bloodhound. That's so cool, though. That's very nice of them. But of course it had to align when you were out of the country. Thank you all for following. I appreciate that. If you love Tamora Pierce, my account's the place to be. She had a book fair at your school went to, but her line was too long, so you didn't get your book signed. No. Sadness. You love how Bloodhound Tamora Pierce treats gender, and you adore what she calls lesbians. You're Australian. Whoop, 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 whoop. Coming back. You're in Australia. She's not traveled here in 20 years. Oh, no. That's a long flight for her, to be very, very fair. It's a really long flight. She was at a college near you. No. She found out that day. Oh, no. Her teasing Rosso at any given moment gives you life. I agree. I think their banter is top notch. The Alana Quartet, they were in talks to have it turned into a movie, but then with Lionsgate, but as far as I'm aware, that fell through a while ago. Unless you have new information. But as far as I know, the Lionsgate movie fell through. Terrier is the book you recommend to anyone who likes fantasy but hasn't read Tamora Pierce. That's interesting that this would be the entry for it. Interesting. I always send them to Alana just because, I have so many reasons. But yes, I always send to Alana. This one, I feel like, depending on who it is, there are certain people I would send to this. If people really love, this was called a fantasy procedural, like a fantasy crime procedural. Yes. Somebody who's willing to do 600 pages of a diary. There are not many people that I would send straight out into 600 pages of a diary. But I like and appreciate it. I think there are certain people. How do we join the Discord? There's a link in my bio that I think I need to refresh again, it sounds like. And it has been in the chat a couple of times. Mott is giving like your shoelaces. I always think of applesauce when I think of Mott. Her inside of Rosso's scar. Oh no, it goes away. Okay. Keeping the scar meaning he killed the rogue. I thought that was really interesting too, especially when we see the, not necessarily parallel, but more like foil for that with Claw and George and Alana with George and Alana's book. Like, Claw is known for the scarred face when he challenges George. So I thought that was such an interesting, not necessarily foreshadowing, but more like a foil for what was happening. Yes, she did write the White Tiger comics with Marvel. Absolutely. She's a nerd in the best way. She's a metalhead. She wrote some Marvel. She wrote the White Tiger comic. Yes. It was canceled. Yeah, the one that's out though is great. I agree. I would love you would prefer an animated series for any of her Tortall books. I completely agree. I would love an animated series. I specifically nominate Fortiche to do it. They did Arcane and I'm obsessed with Arcane. I think if there were going to be one that could turn into a live action, I do think Beka's would do all right. I think there's a lot of precedents for like the crime procedural drama, and I think that the story would lend itself pretty well to that. You have a couple of overarching plots that intersect really well. I think that this could work if needed. It was really good. I think there was even an interview she did back in the first volume. Yes. Alana's a close second. And I think if I didn't start with Beka would be far lower. Interesting. I think that the first one does make a difference when you read them through. There are a lot of reasons why I love Alana, but I think a huge reason I love Alana is not just that it was the first one of Tamora Pierce's books that I read, but also when I read it. I read it like right as I was coming into myself as a human, and I felt really close to the characters at the time, and they were going through similar things. Like the chapter Womanhood in the first adventure. Hello. Yeah, that made me who I am. The length she ran and chased after her first big catch. Whew, yes. And then the fact that she wanted to do it again. I recently started running. I guess it hasn't been it's been over a year now. I started running, and I think about Beka in Bloodhound quite a bit. And I think about her here and how she incorporates that as training within herself. And the way she talks about it was a huge influence for me. Also, as a vain person, the hair, he's wealthy enough for a good healer, and he wants this scar. She put those pieces right together, and I was like, oh, you must be the new Rogue. You love how we get to see the start of the dancing dove? Me too. Oh, I just got all giddy there. Yeah, I do too. That's what I love the dancing dove. It's just so different from the other series, but you don't have to compare them with it. That's a really good point, Ari. These are so different from the other series, but they're so connected and similar. I think Tamora Pierce does a really good job of exploring her own writing style and themes. We saw it a lot in Circle of Magic, and then within here too. I think she's also trying to do a response for the times, and so fantasy books, young adult fantasy books, were getting larger. They were going deeper. You had, what year is this? Right off the top of my head. I do not know. So this was 2006 is when this came out. And so books at that time were getting heftier. They were getting much larger. Young adult readers, the editors and publishers knew they could hold attention for much longer. And so I think that Tamora Pierce was also responding to the time. Why would he want to scar? New Rogue. Beka would do a good live action, I think. Yeah, I think out of all of Tamora Pierce's books, this would be the one to do it. You trust whoever did Legend of Vox Machina. Oh, yes, to animate the Tortall series. That would be really good. I don't know who did that. I'm 10 toes in for Arcane. Fortiche. Because Beckery's diary format, you think you would give more room for screenwriters to work with. I think so, too. I think there would be a really interesting narration. I think that it also, there's a blueprint already for how they could create either episodes or a movie. You second that? Beka would be the only one that lends itself well to live action, but the sassiness of the pigeons wouldn't show. Yes and no. I wonder how they would be able to do that. I think that would be one of the sticking points. Same with the spinners. Anytime there's magic in the live action shows, it can get really tricky. Beka was your first, but you think Tricksters Throughout Mountain might be your favorite. It's going to be forever until we get there, but I cannot wait to get there. Love those books. I love them more every time I reread them when I get older. Wolf Speaker was the first you saw and bought, but tracked down the first Alana book and read that. Be like, Wolf Speaker would be such a weird start, just in the middle of a series that's in the middle of the series. You read her Circle of Magic book first as a child, but didn't read Tortall until your 30s. Wild. I love your name. I love your username. That's so great. Interesting. Circle of Magic and then Tortall in your 30s. I'm so curious how that worked out for you. Because those are so great. So great. But I had these first, and then I only just finished Circle of Magic. So I'm totally the opposite. You think Trickster series would make an amazing movie series? I think so too. I absolutely could see Allie's turning into a decent series. I think you could do the site that she has fairly well in a live action version in a way that you might not necessarily be able to do Alana's Gift without it having be like a little cheesy. Your dad has watched so much live action YA fantasy shows that you can't trust them based on that. True. True, true. If they make it animated, I need to be marked teens and older. So many studios see animated as for kids only. I agree with that. I think these would have to straddle that line. I think there are a lot of like coming of age animated shows right now that this would be in a very similar genre, depending on which one. I think some of Tamora Pierce's series and books are much more coming of age than others. Starting with Alana or Dane or Beka is like, who was your first Doctor Who? That's such a good point. I love that framework. They all look so rough. Beka was the first one you read, so you always think of it as solid intro, especially for magic rules. I agree with the magic rules, too. The magic rules are really interesting. There are so many opportunities for Tamora Pierce to lay out the harder rules that have come out through her other books. Tricksters is your favorite series of her. Dancing Dove was named after her mom. Yes. Gotta catch up on these comments. Y'all are so great. I mean, thank you for following along. Her early quartets were originally single books, yes, and she was forced to split them. She had a lot of influence. There were a lot of different influences with that, and from what I understand, she had a couple of really great conversations, and that's how we got 4. And they're more young adult rather than adult. And she has also destroyed the manuscript. So we shouldn't ask, because that would have been my first question. Because I would want to read that too. And Venture Brothers, Titmouse, Venture Brothers, the fact that her books were getting larger helped you feel like they were growing with you. That's such a good point. I love that. Because I do feel like they do grow with you, and I see that the most with, I think, Kells. Not these, of course, too, but I think Kells, we see that the most, of like they really grow with you. I really like that perspective. Thank you. Psyched for Mighty Name! Trickster, you love the Tricksters duet. Pigeons are quite smart. They could definitely do good pigeon actors. I think that would be great. There are a bunch of, they could work with pigeon nonprofits, and we could totally change the way that pigeons are seen in the world. Allie! Yes, so psyched for it to drop. Ended up having a whole tab just for moments. You loved Goodwin. I love Goodwin. And I love one of the identity threads that I saw in Beka's stories. She talks a lot about how she wants to be like Goodwin at the beginning. I think the first third are of her admiring Goodwin and pointing out these different pieces that she would love to be. And she says it explicitly over and over and over again that she wants to be like Goodwin. And then in the last third, you see her put those in practice. And so she thinks to herself, what would Goodwin do? What would Goodwin say? How would I stand like Goodwin? And so that was one of those identity threads throughout that I saw, oh, you see this? You are trying to explicitly emulate this person. I love Goodwin. She's so great. And I love her husband. Yes. Also remember when Allie said that she got her magic from her dad, but her power from her mom. Yes. And we all know Alana is powerful. And Goddess Blast. Let's, Crypt off. For Allie. You didn't read Tortall until a friend questioned how you didn't read the transcoded books yet. Right? That is the question. That is the question. I know, my best friend in the whole universe is trans and has not read these books, but loves fantasy, has read tons and tons of fantasy books, but somehow has not read these. We're fixing that, I promise. I promise. Goodwin is incredible, especially in Bloodhound. I agree. I cannot wait to read her in Bloodhound. Finished Terrier yesterday. I forgot how much you liked it. Years ago, you gave Bloodhound a 2-star. I'm curious to hear how it changes, or if it changes at all. Because my thoughts on all of these have changed. I think I would have only given this a 3-star, 2 or 3-star before, but now definitely a 4. In the paperback, there's a bonus chapter where Rosso is naming Dove after a random dancer. I don't have that. Changed in final publication. Took you a while to read the first time. Me too. The counterfeit plot was a lot. Yes. And Tammy mentions that. Like, she discusses that quite a bit. My little stand. I need to fix the setup for all of this. Tammy addresses that quite a bit. The idea that, like, who would want to read, like, a 600-page book about counterfeiting? Me. I'm one of them. I did struggle with it a little bit at the beginning, but I ended up getting very into it when we started talking about macroeconomics. Discord! Thank you for sharing the Discord. Let's see. Catching up on comments. You all are fantastic. Goodwin also clocks her hurt in that bar brawl after Sabine. I love Sabine. But way before Tonstal. Yes! I love that bar brawl scene. It was so good. I think Beka's a really good fighter. We know later on that she's a terrible swordswoman, but that's fine. We have others for that. But I think she's a really good fighter, and it's just her diary, so she doesn't bring that out as much. Love Beka Cooper. We do too. Your mom tried to read Tamora Pierce because they were your fave, but struggled with Bloodhound too. Absolutely. I would never have my mom read Bloodhound. She wouldn't be able to handle it. For the same reason, yes. For Legend of Korra fans, picturing a teammate of Goodwin. Oh, yes, and Lin Beifong. I love that. I think that would be brilliant. We talked a lot about Avatar during Circle of Magic. I felt like there were so many themes and just the way it was written. There were a lot of overlap right there. Even... I'm using the books as a stand right now. But even the special edition of the first 4 Circle of Magic books are very Avatar coded. So I love hearing it show up in other ways. Every time you read Beka's books, you like them a lot more. I think I do too. I agree with you. Circle of Magic is your favorite. I'm curious which book in the Circle of Magic is your favorite. You think you've read Bloodhound the most, which is weird and you're not sure why. Well, maybe you'll figure it out during this reread. Reminds me of how they all use pox as a swear. Yes. Yes. A pox on both your houses. The amount you wanted to shake her siblings with how she treated her after that first visit. Ugh. I completely agree. Completely agree. Especially after the history that they've all had, and I understand that the sisters were younger, and it was all of that, but... I had a lot of tabs around class and relationships and how class and power really intersect. And I think that was a big piece of it for her sisters. Yeah, when they finally transed your Major C. Atticus, I love that name. You were like, Alana is absolutely the best name. Alana is the best. I love your username. Alana is the best name. I mean, that's why, for the most part, you're a Neil Stevenson fan when you're not reading the Baroque cycle. Oh, I would love to hear more of that. I think I'm trying to remember the book I've read by Neil Stevenson. But I can't off the top of my head, so I don't want to misspeak. Right, the way they were literally a step away from her made me fierce. There were so many moments where I was like, what are you doing? You love that for the Emelon audiobooks. 2 of them are only available in Tammy's pacing tape. Yes. There are a couple of audiobooks for the Circle of Magic series that aren't even out. They don't have them for Circle of Magic. So if I had all of the influencer power, I would get the rest of the audiobooks. I would get a reprint of all of the books. So every single one of them would have the same, I could have a full shelf with matching spines. Beautiful reprint. I want them thick. I want them hard. Because they're beautiful, but they are terrible quality. This is this is terrible cardboard. This is not, keepsake quality. And I would love a keepsake quality reprint. Or even just, I don't even care if it is a special edition, just a reprint so they all are matching and they all exist. That would be great. I would love to have them in Australia because it turns out they're very difficult to get in Australia. So I would love a reprint in all of the audiobooks. That bit drove you mad. They were so mean to her. Yes. I think she also represents a couple of things, right? Like, she's going against gender norms that wasn't as explicit in these books. That was one thing that I thought was really, really interesting, is that the intersection of gender and society and like what is acceptable was absolutely there, but it wasn't as prevalent within the dogs. It was more about class in a lot of different ways. Like, there were plenty of women who were dogs. That wasn't necessarily the point of it. It was more like, you aren't the proper woman. Class was so embedded. You just noticed you brought your paperback copy of Terrier new for $9.99. You want those prices back? I know. This was $18.95 rather than like the $40 it would be now. And even then, I'm pretty sure I got this at a used bookstore for just a couple of bucks. Made you so mad for it. Yes, her family. They are young, and Beka still sees the beauty in the lower city. They don't see it, just the dirt. I agree. Beka and the lower city, like, her identity is so entwined. In the middle of the Protector of the Small reread right now, and wish you had the audiobooks. Oh, yes. I don't think I've done Protector of the Small audiobooks yet. I'm really excited. Maybe I'll do some of that when we get there. Yeah, those two are what you're talking about. You got them ages ago because of a friend of a friend. The difference in age and what Beka remembers in the lower cities plays into that a lot, I think. I completely agree with you. It was interesting to see women in the dogs. Later, Alana had to hide that she was a woman. Yes, I'm interested in... That's one of the things I'm looking for in this reread, is that change, the societal change in sexuality, gender that occurs, that we see such a difference between here and here. Like, we have Sabine, we have Lady Knights, we have ladies who are part of the dogs. We know later on, like in these books, religion plays a huge role, but I'm really curious to see how that arcs. You have a signed copy of it from a used bookstore years ago. Oh, that's so cool. Subchat mucked up your reply. Oh, no. And Sabine is a woman knight. Yes, absolutely. It's also interesting that nobility changes faster than common class. Oh, true. But I think that makes sense, though. There will always be there's the working class. You liked the Linus reprint box set. Also liked your Illumicrate set. Oh, I'm so jealous of everyone who got an Illumicrate set. I hope it is better quality than the box set. They're beautiful. I do love the box set. They were supposed to be hard back, and they're not. Like, this is not hard back. And the paper, you can just feel and like see through the paper. It's not great. Not great. So I don't know which set I'm going to use for... I don't know how I'm going to do the reread on this. I really like that my books are lived in, but I also realize that this is not necessarily aesthetically pleasing, so when I do videos about these, they'll look a little different. But that's alright. Rereading! Ooh. Let me catch up on these. The nobles have started bathing separately. Yes, but the ones we went to are still mixed. Hints of the Gentle Mother. I picked up on that too, like at the end after the big thing. Absolutely. I picked up on that too. Kind of like a trickle-down effect. Yes! Reading everything at once, you're leading a D&D game based on the books and mixing so much. Oh, that's so cool. We've talked a lot about doing a D&D game or some sort of role-playing game based in these. And I would love to. That is one of the goals I would love to have. So I'm so curious to hear how your game goes. You love how Sabine and her friends just joined the dogs on an adventure. I do too. I think, as we know, like there's a lot of foreshadowing that is happening and all of this. And we have a lot of foreshadowing into Sabine's character in these books. And she shows up. She shows up over and over again out of a sense of adventure, out of a sense of duty, out of just curiosity, I think, too. There are so many pieces of it. I would love 2 copies of each book. Yeah, I do. I'm going to go look for more copies of them. And then I think eventually it might be fun to like give them away. Or I like the idea of having this kind of like a memory, a trophy from this period of my life, leading these. I really have loved doing these book clubs, and so I love the idea that I would have something to look back on my bookshelf that says, yes, you got very into those books, even more than you were for a while. Welcome, welcome all. You want a full set of Circle of Magic Japanese edition. Yes. I don't know if first of all, are there already Japanese editions? Second of all, if there are, I have not seen them, and I would love to see their covers. Sabine would be an interesting spin-off book. Absolutely. Sabine would be an interesting spin-off book. And then one of the things I think about a lot, if I were to have a piece from any of these series, I would love to have, there's a book, it's mentioned in, I forget which one of Kel's books, but one of the presents that she receives, I think from Neil, and I think it's in Squire, is a book about the history of lady knights in Tortall. And I want it. I want it so badly. There's a spin-off. Oh, you should put the lemon crates if you are in the Discord. Love to do that there. I am terrible with technology and don't know if I could figure out how to do that. So if you are in the Discord, please pop those in the Discord because I would love to see those. Do you think we'll ever get the Numair story finished? Realistically, no. I think that we might get a second book. Realistically, I don't think so, just because Tamora Pierce's health isn't what it is. And another piece of it is I don't know if the publishers understand the demand that's out there for the book. I think other fandoms are very loud, and we are not as loud or organized as some of the other fandoms, and so I don't know if the publishers understand how much we want that book. I also think that Tammy's health is at a point where I'd much rather have her focus on her health than putting out more books, but I do think that she has notes. I do think that she's probably mapped out what's going to happen. I do think there are probably a bunch of things that are written. And I think if we really needed to at a certain point, we could piece together an overarching story, but I don't personally, and I will be the first one to eat my words, and I would love just taste them all up. I don't think that we will end up getting all of Numair's story. But I do think that Tammy knows a lot of it and has written it down places, but I don't know if it's going to end up in a published book. Do you think someone will finish Tammy's books later? Yeah, like Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan. So I think that there might be some of that. I want to give Tammy her flowers while she's here. That is the reason for this account. Like all of this right here is a love letter to Tamora Pierce and the books that she's written, and hopefully is still writing. More than that though, I want her to live her life. I would love it if there comes a point in time where she ends up, even if it's like co-authoring or if somebody takes over that story and finishes writing it, I'd read every single character that came out. I wouldn't care. I would love it all. But first and foremost, I want her to be happy and healthy. Can you be real? You were so excited for Numair and it ended up not being one of your favorites. The Numair one is an interesting one. It's a very interesting one. I'm excited to get there. Since we're reading in chronological order, it's going to be what we read after Beka's books. So we'll get there soon. Tamora merch, but like super cozy sweaters and full of book quotes. Oh, I would love Tamora Pierce merch. I would love because I don't have anything. But I know that it's all a matter of licensing. It's a matter of who's making it. There are a couple of really amazing people in the fan art community who have done a lot. There are a couple of people who are doing really incredible fan fiction. And happy Womp Kinktober to all who celebrate. But, and they have the Dual Wheel Studios. And I think there was the thing with candles for a little while. But there's not a whole lot out there. I would love if you do Tamora Pierce art, please share. I would love to see. I also think it would be really interesting eventually, like if this account really grows, if our community really grows, I would love to be able to facilitate conversations with whoever it may need to be in order to get more Tamora merch, because, oh, that would be incredible. Even just like stickers. I've designed certain things that I would love to have. I designed some cross stitch that I would love to do or see out there, but cozy sweaters, that would be a big one. We need to be louder and more organized. I completely agree. Louder, more organized. If that's the direction we want to head, that is my niche and alley. My life outside of this, I am a communications professional and human rights advocate. And so I joke that my life lives right at this intersection of storytelling, advocacy, and education. And so if we did want to push for something like that, I would love to work with everyone in order to do that. But I would also want to make sure that we're in contact with Tamora Pierce and all of that. And I haven't really done any of that. To be honest with all of you, this has been just kind of our corner of the world. I am a part of the Facebook group, but I haven't posted anything about this on the Facebook group because it's there's rules against self-promotion and all of that. But if you've posted on the Facebook group, I've probably liked it. I am on there all the time, such a lurker. But I would want to make sure that before we did anything that would feel like it would go above Tamora's head, this is all just a love letter to her. This is all fandom. But as much as I would want those things, I would not want to cause any ill will. You would love a cozy t-shirt with some of them. Oh, yes. You love how Cora does their laundry and Beka mends their clothes and yes, everybody has a role. I have pieces about this, this community. She's building community, and she does it through these acts of service and conversation. Beka is a hub. Beka is this, is the breakfast point. I think about when I was in college, my best friend hosted what we called Crunch, and it was a queer brunch every Sunday where we invited all of the queer kids in college to come hang out at this pink house, and everybody would kind of just potluck their own food. And it was incredible. And so I thought a lot about that when I was reading all of this with Beka, and how she really ends up being an anchor for her community by providing a space and just showing up. And we see over and over again, when people had questions about the community, they would defer to her, whether or not, should I be here? Should I not? Ooh, it's cool. Yeah, yes. Oh, cards. We could send her cards. That'd be so great. Sharpens the knives. Oh, that's such a good one. Does Tammy have a PO? But I think she does. She also has a Patreon. I think you can be more direct with her, and the Facebook group she's a part of. If I did want to contact her, I have ways to do that. Honestly, I'm afraid, y'all. Not because of anything she's done. It's just how I'm tongue-tied even thinking about it. Knives and vibes. I love that. You want more Numair because you want the in-between story from the first one and how he gets to Tortall, but it's not your faves by any means. You need the story of how Sarge is freed. I completely agree. I also need to know about the breakup between Numair and the Emperor. I need to know how that goes down. Cross-stitch mentioned! Yes! Well, embroidery. I'm not very good at cross-stitch. The Sarge. Oh, I love Sarge. Sarge. I love Sarge. Like, top tier fan for me. More authors need to sell bookmarks as merch. You would use a Tortall themed bookmark all the time. That's a really good idea. I think that is one thing I've come across in the fandom. Minuko, the like main Tamora Pierce fan artist out there, I think has a couple of bookmarks. I can do some investigating to see how best to support that. Tattoos with Alana, Numera, Jonathan quotes. Oh, yes. I want to get my Alana tattoo so badly. So badly. Catching up on these comments. 100% that would be amazing. Yes, starstruck. So starstruck. I'd be so starstruck. I think there's a difference. So, like, for contacting Tamora Pierce, I think it would fall under a couple of categories of, like, conversations around doing work, how to support her through this account. I think there's another route that is, like, just a gratitude, just a sheer thank you route through all of it. And then I would love to do a book club with her one day. If I were absolutely dreaming, first of all, we would have a live book club at a con or something. But then I would love to have her for one of these, like just a book club for us. We could talk about her books, ask questions. That would be incredible. I would love to interview her. I would love to have just one of these with a live with her. I would be dreamy. You tried mailing your wedding invite to her BO box and I got returned to sender. So sad. Oh, I love that you sent it. Though. If anyone finds a valid mailing address, you need to know. I think there was one in the Facebook group. I can do some digging. If it's not in the Facebook group, I think there's Patreon. I can do some digging because I know people have sent letters to her. Cross stitch, woohoo! Geez, we are still here. I know we're hitting almost the 2-hour mark for Terrier, and so I am gonna have to wrap it up soon. And we can hit the Discord soon. I do have to go be like a real human out and about in the world. I'm like trying to meet friends and go on dates and do lots of things. And so, I'm going to do that later on tonight. But we're hitting almost 2 hours with book club. I'm so appreciative for everyone who's here. You went and did a whole grocery shop. Alana's on the run for you, but you have a Black Widow tattoo. And your Alexa back piece with more. And Athena and Morgan. Oh, look at you. I love all that. Last shout out for the Discord. Thank you. This live will go on YouTube because I promise. Getting things on YouTube is just the worst task for my brain. Because it's a lot of waiting. Just a lot of hurry up and wait, and you can't really do. I'm getting there. I promise. I'm gonna do it. That'll be my focus for tomorrow. Is getting the rest of these. I haven't downloaded. I just need to do the upload. You're working out of the country fair right now, so this was a highlight of your night. Just thanks for being here. Excited you're here. Thank you for your passion. You've loved these books for years, and no one else wants to listen. Oh, we are here. We are absolutely here. If you are passionate about Tamora Pierce, this is the place to be. We'll wrap this up for today. This has been an absolutely incredible book club so far. I'm so glad as a newly stay-at-home mom, these are bright lights for brighten your week. I'm so glad that you all are here. These truly are the best part of my week. This is the most stable part of my life right now, is knowing I have book club on Wednesday. Everybody's like, oh, can't talk to her. She has book club on Wednesday. This is the best. I'm taking it as like my grad school practice. Hopefully this time next year I will be in graduate school studying how media, communications, gender, and sociology all combine. And so this is the perfect practice for that. And it's with my favorite book series with some incredible people. So I'm so thankful everyone is here. Last little things before we wrap up for the day. If you have any last thoughts for Terrier in particular, please pop them in. This totally counts as social interaction. I see you useless goblin thing. It counts. At least it has to for me. So we're wrapping up Terrier today, but all month long, join us for live on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be talking about different themes. And so next week, we're going to be talking about justice and policing. Clearly, there's one or two things that came up in this book that will come up in these other books. To get you started, next we are reading Bloodhound. We will be talking about this the first week of November. So you have the whole rest of the month to read this. And look out for more content for this. I started getting my cosplay together. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm so excited. So we have more things coming, cosplay planned, food, recipes, lots more comments. I have a couple of ideas that I'm really excited to get through. There are a couple of Circle of Magic things now that we finished that. I'm going to go back and try to make some more content about that too. So follow along. I'm so happy everyone's here. Let me catch up on these comments. We have our last little bits. I'm going to put out a more solid calendar soon. I'm trying, y'all. Life is hard. Your boss is learning that is the one day a week you won't stay late. You are willing any other day. We're so glad that you're here, Amanda. This is fantastic. Okay, y'all. So with that, I am going to the tabs. I know the tabs. You will all be so happy for these tabs. I promise you. You all will be so happy for these tabs when I actually get the deep long form YouTube videos together and I'm able to quickly reference things. I promise we will all, including myself, be thankful for these tabs. I'm so glad that you love them. This is the one place I don't feel so weird about being so nerdy about things. And I appreciate that other people are matching my enthusiasm with their own. This has really been such a fun ride. So with that, y'all, I don't know how long I'm going to be able. I will. Okay, ASMR about the tabs. I do have one ASMR video. You have to really, really, really scroll back to find it. But it was when I was truly throwing all kinds of content against the wall. And I have a Tamora Pierce ASMR. So maybe I should do that because I love it. And I like the texture too. So tab video. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to wrap up here, hop on the Discord for just a little bit, but then I will have to go pretty soon to go do some other things. I so appreciate you all joining, for following, for doing comments, for doing all pieces. This has been such a great community, and I will see you next week, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Have a great night, morning, evening, afternoon, all of it, y'all.